I've always loved large format wall murals, so I picked up these. What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda. I'm out in my garage, actually. This is a pretty tall wall here. It's a little over 8 feet. And what I wanted to do here is, instead of painting it, as you can see, I've just kind of worked on the wall, but I haven't painted it, just filled holes and stuff like that, is that I wanted to give it some visual punch when I'm driving into my garage. Punchy. And I ordered a large format wall decal here by this company, Wall 26. And that's because they make large format wall decals, wall murals that are very affordable. So these can be very expensive, but a 100-inch tall wall decal here was only about $120, I want to say, which is actually a really good price for that. It's got adhesive built into it. And what I wanted to do was put that right here. Now, I am actually going to install it. And I'm also going to staple the edges here just so that as this garage gets hot, cold, high humidity, low humidity, I don't want them pulling away. So I want it to be a pretty permanent install. Now, the thing I've noticed about this is that it comes in a roll. Now, I actually have multiple wall decals in here. I'm not sure which is the engine one, which is the one I'm going to put up right here. But it actually comes in 4 panels when you get it in this largest format. So what you do is you kind of roll it down like wallpaper, and then there's a little overlap, I believe, and then you put that down, and then the next one, and the next one. So what I've got is my step ladder here, and I'm going to start in this corner and go ahead and see if I can get the first strip down there and see what it's like, and just check out the quality of these wall murals, you know, because like I said, they aren't super expensive. And my hope is that it's just a price discount because of how many they produce and that they're already made. Because I've noticed when I've bought from other companies that do custom decals, you know, you don't have to go to that larger format to be in the few $100 range on some of these things. So hopefully this will look pretty awesome. And I will say they had a ton of options, from cars and planes, scenery and rivers and nature and just different designs and things like that. So you can probably find something you want from their catalog, which is really nice. So let's get this thing unboxed and see if it looks good or if it makes my garage look horrible. All right, let's check it out. All right, so in the largest format that they make here, or at least in inventory that they provide, looks like this. Looks like kind of a yoga mat roll, but it's quite a bit heavier. And you can see here we have 6 panels, and so they are numbered here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I guess that makes sense that you have that many panels when you have that much real estate to cover. And the material feels a little bit like, you know, a soft nylon, almost like tent material. You can see how flexible it is. It has adhesive on the back, but I will say it's not super sticky. So I think it will adhere to most prepped, clean drywall surfaces pretty well, or something flat, even shiny surfaces. But like I said, I'm going to augment this with the staple gun just to make sure. And it has a little bit of a matte finish. It's kind of like a soft texture to it. So, all right, there is the instructions right here, laid out. Toward the first panel, peel the edge away. All right, I think I'm gonna just try this on my own. And I think the overlapping pieces is something you're gonna have to eyeball. So let's give it a shot. All right, I got the first panel up, and I do want to say here that it wasn't that hard. It's just a little unwieldy because of its size, but you basically want to start at the top and peel off a piece of the backing and then fold it down and then kind of start it. Now, what I found was that I wasn't really vertical, at least to the wall corner here, which was kind of disappointing, but it's not really that sticky, and I was able to pull this away, adjust it, and then go up to the top here and pull that away and adjust it back. So that kind of shows you how sticky this is. I mean, it's sticky, but it's not sticky. You know what I'm saying? So if you were to do this right and you really wanted it to be a kind of permanent installation, you might want to get a can of that spray adhesive. Like I said, I'm going to staple it down just to make sure that these corners are down, but you can see that this wall is not perfectly flat. If I were doing this on glass, then I might not have any issues. I mean, I do have some bubbles, you know, where it just won't sit flat. You can probably hit that with a heat gun or a hair dryer or something like that. But in the garage here, it's not a problem. And because of the colors here and the dark and the light, you know, it's not really that obvious. You'd really have to come up and inspect this really closely to see that. But hopefully that is right, because everything is going to index off this. Now, I didn't take off this bottom part with the instructions here. I may actually cut that away later, or I might cover it with the baseboard, but right now I'm not going to sweat it. So I'll probably use a knife just to trim that and then peel it off. But right now I'm not going to sweat it, because that's going to be an easy fix. Now, if you have a wall that you're worried about and you don't want to maybe score it with a knife inadvertently, then I would probably just cut those off, peel it up and cut it off with scissors. That's probably gonna be the easiest way to do it. But I didn't want to deal with it while it was on the ground. Make sure I had all my panels in the right order here. All right, so now what I want to do is actually kind of just dry fit the next one and see how much overlap I have to make so that they line up, and then see if we can get the next panels up, and hopefully they align with the ceiling up there and don't start angling down, you know. So if I didn't get this vertical and if the wall has imperfections, that's going to be a problem. But onward and upward. All right, so lining up the next panel is actually going to be easier with more detail. So you can see here, if I pull this up, you can see where this piece meets that. You can see the little similar little print there. It's going to be a little easier to align with these two white lines. And if I just kind of move them so that they are overlapping, so it looks like, you know, that one lines up, and then move this one so that lines up like that. What you can see maybe up there is that the overlap is maybe not quite an inch, but pretty close, maybe 7/8 of an inch, something like that. So that's how it's gonna work. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and get this one up. All right, got it done, but it's not that hard of work. It just kind of takes some time, and I really like it. It does give some punch here. It's got some great detail. There's some pros and cons to it for sure, and I'll walk you through that now. But obviously, putting it up with one person and a stepladder is not that bad. The better the prep surface you have, the better off you're gonna be here. But let me give you a close look at it. All right, so obviously I went with this engine motif since I am in here in my garage, and this is where I am a lot of times. So I just thought I would have something that was car related. And I'll tell you what, I liked the busyness of the design. That way you kind of get lost in it. You don't see the seams as much. If there's something that's a little less busy, you might actually see the seams. Now I want to show you, obviously, you know, the surface is going to matter, and I have some places where I have some nail holes that are filled in and things like that, and you can kind of see those through there. But generally this is pretty forgiving, and because of the busyness of that design, you don't really see it. Now here is where the seam is, and that's actually pretty well hidden. It's not until you get to some of these places here where the image matches up. Now I noticed that, I'm not sure if it's parallax or if it's just the way it prints or something like that, but even when I did my darndest to line up, you know, up there, the seam is pretty well lined up with stuff. But as you just get down here, you start to get misaligned. It was probably the worst right here, or maybe the most visible, because you have the circle that's interrupted on the top and bottom. And I would really need to move this over, I don't know, 4 or 5 more millimeters, but it's perfectly aligned up there. So right up there, it looks great. And so it really kind of depends where you want to be aligned, you know, but you do want to have your overlap. You can see the underneath piece right there, and then the overlap piece right there. Ironically, the last piece here was really well aligned. I just kind of threw it up there. It's the last piece. I didn't really think about it too much, but it lines up so well top to bottom. So I'm not sure. It doesn't seem impossible to do, but maybe it's just the way the material stretches as it's going through the machine or whatever it is, the printer. All right, now my other advice here is you're rolling it down. What I kind of did, and you probably saw in the video, is I pressed in the middle and then I swept out to the sides just to kind of minimize any air bubbles, keep it as nice and smooth as possible. You can see where I use the staple gun and stapled these in. Like I said, trying to make this more of a semi-permanent install. It won't be hard to remove, but I just didn't want it peeling and moving off because the sticky material, the adhesive on the back, is not that sticky. In fact, you may have seen me when I put this up, I actually laid it all down, right? And then I was like, oh, it's just misaligned a little bit, and I could pull it all away, and it didn't stretch the material or anything like that. So it's not like the vinyl you put on a car. It's more like contact paper. It's not even as strong as the vinyl or the adhesive that you would put on a MacBook or the back of your phone. You know, those are really actually quite strong. The material here is much thinner, and the adhesive isn't as grippy. It's not like Post-it light grippy like that where it just peels off. It's kind of like those removable puffy stickers that you used to put on your Trapper Keeper, those kinds of things. But man, I really like that, man. That is some visual punch right there. I think it gives my garage an urban car look. I know that this might not be for everyone, that some people might say, dude, why are you putting a sticker in your garage? Some people would probably scoff at that, but I think it looks great. You know, there's no way to really duplicate this with paint, right? Unless I hired an artist, and even then, that would be a lot of money and probably wouldn't look as good. But to me, this is just something that gives it that pop and customizes it to my Flavor Flav. Now, I am going to paint all around this, so we're going to get rid of all that grime and everything else and cover up, obviously, the other places here. But just in terms of the centerpiece where I'll put my workbench and I will spend probably a lot of time in the future, man, it just makes it the way I want. So if you want to pick this up, it's by this company, Walls 26. I don't know what that stands for, but I'm not only happy with the product, I'm happy with how easy it is to install, and I'm very happy with the price. So 100-inch tall here, 100 plus inches wide, at about $100+ I think is actually a really good deal. If you want to pick up a wall mural, they have them in all different styles with all different images. You can probably find something that will really suit you for your home office, your bedroom, maybe your living room, maybe your man cave, whatever. I think it will definitely dress it up to your style and help you live a little happier. So I'll put a link to this in the description below. Peter Von Panda, out.
We can discover more and explore so much deeper.